Special thanks to Toys and Things in Danvers, Massachusetts, Reaper Miniatures, Off the Wall Games in Hadley, Massachusetts, Games and Friends in Springfield, Massachusetts, as well as AAA Games Arena in Wilbraham, Massachusetts. If you enjoy the show, help the podcast grow. Give us a follow on Twitter at LordsBroken, join the community Discord, and maybe consider offering a small tribute to the old ones on our Ko-Fi. All these links and more can be found in our link tree at linktr.ee/thebrokenlords. Thank you.
And I'm going to move over to the door of the cabin.
Yeah, what's inside?
All right.
And I'll be joining, and Cole will join you.
The door is hanging ajar.
Yeah, okay. So there's no other windows into here, right?
There are a couple of gaps in the logs that might have intentionally be placed there to be like windows.
That's incredibly good for keeping watch. I'm going to try and use them now to see if anything's inside the cabin.
It is going to be difficult in the fading light.
Yes.
However, I don't know, we'll do an observation test, difficulty 2, let's say.
Obdiff 2.
We didn't take any meat, did we?
What?
You were kind of in a hurry.
Yeah, we were.
I mean, that boar was really big. Even if carrion feeders get at it in the night, there's probably going to be plenty left.
Well, I had the right idea.
It is very shadowy inside of the little hut. Between the fact that you're, like, low in a valley, there's the plateau kind of leaning overhead, and the sun is going down. It's pretty dark inside that hut.
Yeah.
You can see a little ways into the room, the window you're peeking through.
Yeah.
It looks mostly empty. You don't even see any signs of, like, furniture or anything like that.
Alright.
As you walk around the hut, you also peek through the door. You see two shadowy shapes, small, like low to the ground, towards the center of the room that's just inside the door. One of them is barely bigger than your hand, and one of them is maybe knee-high.
Alright. Gets a cull. I only saw 2 things in there. Looked like maybe a dog and a rat.
Shall we proceed then? Gets the club ready.
After you, my friend.
A dog and a rat are...
That's about the sizes, I think, right?
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah. For the descriptions I was given.
2 indistinct shadowy shapes. One is knee-high, one is barely bigger than your hand.
Yeah. So I saw 2 things, the size of a dog and the size of a rat.
Yeah, they're just... That just seems like a strange pair of roommates. That's my only reaction, really.
Well, could be a wild animal that got into the cabin and is eating its prey.
Or we'll find out something completely different soon when we go into the cabin.
That's true.
Ricardo would have joined you all at this point. It would not have taken that long for him to quench his thirst.
I'm probably not going in first. I'm going to wait for the barbarian to do it.
Yep, I'll head on in.
All right. Your eyes adjust to the darkness fairly rapidly, and you find yourself standing in a small room. Ahead of you, there are 2 open doorways, one on either side, that also appear to be basically dividing the inside space of the hut into thirds. And on the floor in front of you, there is a dusty old cook pit, and on the floor, not far from the cooking pit, there appears to be a book.
There is a book in a cooking pit, so no dog or rat.
Any wood in the pit?
It was the size of a dog and the size of... I didn't say there's literally a fucking dog and a rat in there. Holy shit.
I was just informing you what it
Ooh,
was.
if we check the tapes, I
Holy
think a
shit.
different story will emerge.
Oh no, we're not checking the tapes.
We're not doing
that.
I'm not doing any of that shit.
Cole's gonna pick up the book.
All right, it is a hand-bound book. It kind of looks like it's maybe a tattered old journal. Parchment paper, bound in leather, and although there is no writing on the cover or the spine, when you open it up, you see there is handwriting in it. Very neat handwriting. And the opening passage is addressed to a potential reader. It says, "Lost Ones." Incidentally, it's written in Aquilonian.
Oh, good.
Conveniently a language we all know.
But you're going to have to, in order to, like, properly read it, you're going to have to probably light up the cook pit or something. Get some light in here somewhere.
This is for after we finish checking out the other 2 rooms.
Well, rooms are like maybe 10 square feet apiece, so it's not going to take you very long to check them out.
Yeah.
I leave the cabin. I'm going home.
You are home.
Shit.
Welcome to home.
Welcome to home. It's relatively giant snake free.
That's true. That's true. All right. Is there anything in the other 2 rooms, it seems?
No. Not a scrap of furniture. It looks like whoever lived here last took everything they could when they left.
All right. Well, is it survival to attempt to light a fire?
Yeah. And you even have some flint. And
That's true.
Cull has a giant sharp rock, so you can make that attempt.
All right. Is that even an OB1 test?
No. We'll call that a difficulty 0.
All right.
You can light a fire.
I would like to light a fire.
You worked with worse worse situations than this.
It's true. I actually have flint, so that's something.
Yeah. So you go back down to the tree line, gather up some dead branches, and bring them back in. Get a small fire going.
Yeah.
And the sun is fully down by this point, and it is absolutely pitch black. You can barely even see stars overhead for some reason.
That's bad.
Not good.
I thought when it was darker out, the stars would be more clear. So that's confusing.
Not when sorcerous evil magics are afoot, apparently.
No, you're right.
Yeah, you would expect to be able to see a lot of stars, but really you can only see the brightest of them right now.
Great. It's the haze jungle, guys.
I hate the haze jungle.
Same.
So I can see bright stars, though, right?
Yes, the brightest of them you can. Yeah.
What would you use for navigation?
That would depend on how you're going about it. Like, you would use a sailing test if you were using, like, sailing equipment to help you navigate. You don't have any, like, maps or charts.
Yeah.
But you could make a lore test to see if you can figure out something. It's going to be a difficulty of 3 because you only have a handful of stars to go by.
All right.
Paul will aid him in that.
I'm just going to pass then. My thought was I might be able to use the stars to be able to determine approximately how far away from home I was, but that's fine.
If you were living in a world where knowledge of astronomy was not vast and you were in a situation where you could only see a few dozen stars, it definitely would be pretty fucking difficult to try and do that.
Yeah, no doubt. I have lore of 0, however, so that's kind of out of my...
Oof. Hate to see it.
It's out of my wheelhouse.
Paul will make an attempt.
Yeah, Cull can make an attempt if he wants. We could go the other way around, and Octomer can try and assist with this test. We could say survival.
Pointing out some of the more important stars for various constellations.
Yeah, I mean, at least the ones that you're
Familiar with?
familiar with back home.
Alright.
The difficulty will still be 3 on this, because you have very few stars to go by, but...
Man. Focus is 4. Experience is 4. Target number 16. I need 3 successes on 2 dice. Only a chump would fail that kind of roll.
Fortune
Raw
you can
talking
invest?
I might.
You crazy?
Yeah, sure, whatever. Nah, nuts.
Didn't quite get there.
Fine.
That's okay.
It's fine, it was a long shot
Alright.
anyway.
Cull.
We don't need to succeed on this. It was more of a passive wonder thing, so I don't feel the need to burn resources attempting it.
All right, I'm gonna give this a shot with the 2 momentum, so I'm rolling 4.
Okay. Just the 2. The best Cull can come up with is that the few he can only positively identify, 3 stars.
Oof.
Even this early in the night, they're farther up from the horizon than they should be. But as far as specifics,
Yeah,
you don't know.
that's fair.
Alright, so there's a little fire going. You 2 come back inside. And has anybody else looked at the journal?
I would have been curious eventually if they went completely outside and it was unattended.
Yeah. So you pick up this tattered journal, open it up. There's a very neat hand written in Zingaran on the inside, and it is addressed to the Lost Ones.
In Zingaran.
The Lost Ones. Ricardo will keep reading.
Lost Ones, if you are reading this, then you've survived your first days in this Valley of the Damned. You, like countless others before, have fallen victim to a certain sorcerer, an ancient and wicked man, possessed of many names, who has turned this place into his personal prison. Perhaps you've crossed him in some way, or perhaps he simply decided to send you here on a whim, or as a favor to your rivals. Search your memory for a man with cruel, dark eyes and an evil aura. You have seen him, or perhaps he has seen you. Upon reading that phrase, the whole book glows with an eerie blue light, and you are assailed by a vision.
Oh, shit.
Alright, Mr. Vega, here we go.
Mhm.
The face you see is surely one you will never forget. Isabella Ladrone, youngest daughter of your family's greatest foe, and niece of the king himself, for what little that's worth. She's dressed in rich velvet, black and gold, and wears a wide-brimmed hat with a great red plume upon it. The dueling sword at her side has taken the lives of many who doubt her prowess, your own kin on a few occasions. The blood debt you owe this woman is not simply of the great feud that has occupied your families for generations, however. This debt is personal. This is the woman who disgraced you. The insult she paid at the king's banquet should have easily been ignored, but for the drink burning in your blood. The shame you brought upon your family that night saw you cast out to moldering estates in the countryside. Once a captain of your family's guard, now little more than the personal guard of farmers, peasants. After years of hard work, however, your family's considering your debt paid. In a month's time, you'll be allowed to return. But why do you see Isabella now? Why is her arrogant smile so large? She leans in a doorway, looking out over the faded glory, the city of Torrigus, little more than a crumbling den of poverty, forgotten by the nobles who abandoned it. At her languid direction, a crew of men are loading chests into an old wagon. A cloaked man approaches the wagon bed and throws open the chests one by one. Coin, pearls, ingots of metal. He turns to Isabella, and you see his evil eyes lit by a smile. You read your name on his lips, Ricardo Vega. The rest is unclear. Isabella smiles and nods. Your vision blurs, and you are once again staring at this book.
And the only thing that comes from Mr. Vega's lips is Ladron.
To the rest of you, you saw Ricardo start to read. The book flashed blue, and his eyes glowed a matching color briefly, and he kind of was staring off into nothingness.
Are you okay?
I hate sorcery.
I think I know why I am here. And I believe the journal, it gives some insight for the rest of you, but I understand some trepidation for sorcerous things. He places the journal down, in a more central location. It gave me a vision of the person that helped get me here. Apparently this place is like a prison. It didn't really go into much more detail, but there's clearly some magic associated with it.
Cole's gonna walk up and pick up the book. I want to know who.
Alright, once again, you see the script written in that neat Aquilonian hand.
Ooh.
And you read that same passage because it's the only thing written on the page. And when you reach the end, the book begins to glow once more. You have long come to terms with the odd sight before you. A Cimmerian of mighty stock in a crowded workshop surrounded by tools of the alchemical trade. Hunched over a dusty old tome trying to piece together an old formula, intent on nothing more than furthering your own knowledge. You hear the ringing of a bell and hasten from your work out into the main room of the shop you are apprenticed to. The hour is late, but coin in the ledger is coin you will see a share of. When you reach the shop counter, you see a man facing the jars and shelves opposite you. He wears robes to envy a king, and his head appears to be covered in a cowl. He turns to face you, a man of sharp features, a dark, pointed beard, prominent cheekbones, and dark eyes sunken into his face. They catch the light strangely and almost seem to glow. He pleasantly asks you for a list of wildly expensive and rare ingredients, starting with powdered fang of a forest dragon. But you lose his words as your hackles rise. Years in the city have not dulled the fierce senses of your people. Even in the great city of Tarantia, civilization cannot tame a Cimmerian, and a Cimmerian knows the stink of sorcery. Your face in a rictus grin, sweat beading on your forehead, you slowly reach for the iron poniard that you stash under the counter. As the man's list trails off, your fist closes around the worn leather grip as you prepare to leap across the counter and fight. The man smiles in great amusement, as if your stony silence was a wonderful joke. The tense moment stretches out a few seconds before the man speaks again in a rich, condescending tone. Ah, I see that this shop is sadly lacking the most refined and rare ingredients that I require for my work. Perhaps I shall see you again once you've had a chance to resupply. The man sketches a courtly bow, and in a blink leaves the shop. Cities are wretched places, you growl, before leaping the counter and swiftly locking the door. Soon enough, you're lost in your work again, the memory of the foul sorcerer forced from your mind and eventually buried. But outside in the dark, two smiling, glowing eyes hang in the shadows, and faint laughter fills the night.